Good evening and welcome to this tonight's show. I am your host, Tina Dawson, and the owner of True Blue Designs. And it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. We were getting the party started before we went live, so you all are going to really enjoy tonight's show. Let everybody know that we are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So like and share and let everybody know that we are on the air with a very special guest. Now, there are many approaches to leadership. And I was doing my research and I want to read to you an approach that I found called the contingency approach. And the contingency approach suggests that the interactions of leaders, followers, and the situation determines which leadership style you use. Therefore, if you follow this approach, you learn the significance of being a multifaceted leader. One who learns how to be multidimensional in his or her leadership style in order to reach their goals in different situations. Now, tonight's guest is a leader on the move, a person who uses multifaceted leadership skills to get results. Now, everybody, help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest and my friend, Mr. Monaleto Irby. Hello, sir.
Thank you for having me on. I'm good. Just trying to get myself together here to see what you're about to bring at me here. I've watched a couple of your shows and I know how you navigate. So let's talk.
Hey, look, the pre-show was good.
The pre-show was good. The pre-show was real good. It was.
You know, it's so funny to me because the pre-show was what we normally do when we get together.
Right. It's the norm.
That's the norm for you and I.
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we start, let me ask, check on the family. How's the family? How's the wife? How's everybody?
Mom? Everybody's good. We have ups and downs. Not me and my wife. We do married folk. We knew we're married, right? You know what that is. She say, "You make me sick." I say, "You make me sick," and we have dinner. It is what it is. So that's life, and that's the raw, honest truth, right? Yeah. So I'm going to see my folks tomorrow. Taking my daughter to visit with my mom tomorrow. A lot of people forget I have a daughter, a grown woman. Yeah. Well, yeah. So everybody's good. Everybody's good, and I always say this: as good as we are, continue to pray for us, right? Continue to keep us lifted. Simple as that. Right. But we're good. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
And everybody, Mari, and all your. Is your son still here?
Oh no, he went back Sunday.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, he's back in Fort Hood. Hey, Damon. Hopefully he's on. Support his mama.
Absolutely. That's good. And you do well with them. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, make sure you tell the wife I said hello.
Absolutely. We'll do that.
Well, we're going to start off by allowing you to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Monaleto Irby. Some people call me Mont. Some people call me Irby, as you do. Some people call me Mr. Irby, depending on the situation. A lot of people call me Brother Irby. I'm called Uncle. I'm called Brother. I'm called Daddy. I'm called Nephew. I'm from Demopolis, Alabama, a little small city in west central Alabama, about 30 minutes from Mississippi. Graduating from Demopolis High School in 1993, being blessed. Take that word, being blessed to receive an athletic scholarship to Jacksonville State University, where I didn't go to the NFL. I went to get a degree because otherwise my mom wouldn't be able to pay for it. And graduating there in 4 years, the fall of 1997, I've had several different opportunities in my career and moving pretty fast. I am one of seven, the second oldest of seven. That's 5 sisters and a brother. Where a lot of people think that my sister is younger than me, but she's actually the oldest. But it was because of me being the oldest male and my mom having to work, having us at a young age. She used to leave me in charge of my sisters and my siblings. So when we talk about leadership, it started at the ground root of that. And she kept me, to the point where you can spank them if you need to. So me and my sisters, we laugh about that to this day. And oftentimes when I go home and I tell them, "Oh, you're not gonna cuss around me now. Like, we're 40 years old. You can't tell us that." But I'm still in that big brothers mode.
Yeah.
So, a country boy from Alabama who's not country. That's all. Right.
Right.
And happy about it. Well, that's a little bit about me. That's I guess we'll talk about the fraternity stuff and all of that. That'll come.
Okay. Well, let's talk about you choosing a Bachelor's of Science degree in criminal justice and a minor in social work. What led you to those degrees?
Good question. So I love my family, and they know I do. Again, there were 7 of us, and my mom had us young, but I did have a sister who kind of went off the rail a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And being the oldest brother, mom working jobs that would have her away from home, I was often the times me talking with the authorities who came to the house when she would get in trouble and stuff like that. Okay. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know at that time until a while later that he was a Sigma man, but he was a chief probation officer there. And my goal with that was what he did in helping my sister get to where she needed to be. It stuck with me. Right. I literally went to college thinking I was going to be a broadcast communicator, being on television, doing the news, but was led to criminal justice in the corrections field where I knew I would be able to affect change because that's just who I was, because so many people poured into our lives. Mm-hmm. And that particular one. And social work just helped. You have the corrections piece, and then you have the social work piece. Okay. Because again, you see this healthy guy right here. We're being honest and raw tonight, right? Mm-hmm. Food stamps help with this, So those things like that, just coupled with who I am, and I thought I could, because I wasn't looking to make money. Right. I was looking to make a difference and a change. Right. So that's what led me to criminal justice and minoring in social work. Yeah. Well, you are the definition. What you just said is the definition of you are a product of your environment. 100%. And I tell my son all the time, when you date people, discover what their upbringing was like, really drill into that, mm-hmm. because that shaped and molded what you see in front of you. Yeah. Whether it's good, bad, and indifferent, right? Absolutely. And until that person really comes to grips with that, not run from it. Sure. Comes to grips with that. That's good. That makes them who they are right then when you meet them. I'm taking notes from you too now. I told you earlier I had my paper. Hey, you said something. Come to grips with it and not run from it. Don't run from it. Yeah. That's heavy. Yeah. And but the main reason why I wanted to interview you, and I'm gonna stop right here and I'm gonna say this, because we talked about this when I made the phone call, mm-hmm. is that when you meet people at that moment, you only know them one-dimensionally. Yeah. And I have said this all the time, that there's more to you than the way I met you. Understood. And until I take the time out to work on our relationship, friendship, get to know you ship, yep. That's when I understand and I find out that there's more dimensions to Irby. And I think it's so important for us to have this conversation tonight live and in living color, because mm-hmm. a lot of people that are watching only know you as of now. They only know you one-dimensionally. But hopefully when we finish this broadcast, they will understand not who the title Monaleto Irby is, but who Monaleto Irby is. Because that's who I have on tonight. I have on Monaleto Irby. I appreciate that. Right? Absolutely. So hopefully they get it. If they don't, wait. Listen, what did you say? Come to grips with it. And not run from it. And not run from it. You said that. So let's touch on. We're going to touch on this next topic a little bit. Okay. So when you were at school, you became a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and currently today you are the Georgia State Director of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Mhm.
So I would like for you to talk about what led you to Sigma, and then B, what led you to want to become such a leader in Sigma.
Good. Another good question. So again, my mom was a single mom with a lot of children, right? And I'm proud of what we had and what we had to come up in and we had to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke a word. We came through, right? But there was this gentleman around the corner, Mr. Charles Brown. I used to see the letters on the front of his brown Escort. I didn't know what it was, right?
Right.
But I knew Mr. Brown made efforts for us in the community, not just my mom's children, all of us. He disciplined us. He had a robust voice, but it was always gentle but stern. And he made sure that the community, right, that we lived in was safe and that we were safe. And I remember him getting me my first job during the summer as a summer counselor. He made efforts for that. He came seeking me out, and that's literally coming by his house, speaking and things of that nature and doing that. And I found out that Mr. Brown was a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated,
wow.
Right? Just him being who he is. And I was like, oh, Mr. Brown is the man. Yeah. So I go to school still not knowing, and on my team are all these Sigmas.
On the football team?
On the football team. My freshman year of college, 14 of them, 15 of them came out.
Wow.
And one was a brother who came in with us as a freshman. He pledged the second semester of his freshman year.
Okay.
And 15 of them came out, and they're all on the team with us, wow. Right? Yeah. So we already had this nucleus of brotherhood on the football team, and then these Sigmas, right? So then I really started researching Pi Kappa chapter at Jacksonville State University, okay. JoJo on the charter line, and those brothers. And I saw those old pictures of them and how they stood for something. They were next level. Understand what I'm saying? And they had it. So there was this hint of arrogance about them, which is not bad.
No,
you hear me? Because Sigma had this stereotype of country boys. You know that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I asked my pastor's wife at the time to write me a letter of recommendation. I'll back up in a minute. And she said she wouldn't do it. She's an AKA. She wouldn't do it because I wouldn't pledge Alpha.
Okay.
But Alpha's not what I want. When I went to Mr. Brown to ask Mr. Brown to write my letter of recommendation when I came through, he sat me down.
Oh.
Because he was serious about the letters of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I saw the party side, right? And I wanted to be a part of something, this brotherhood. He schooled me in that moment. Yeah. Before I penned this letter, this is what Sigma represents. I'll never forget it. Yeah. I'll never forget. One day I'm going to share a picture. I'm going to ask his son if I could share a picture of him. God rest his soul. In his letter, the big brothers were blown away at the letter he wrote for me.
Do you still have a copy of it? I
do not have, because I only had that copy and gave it to them. I wish I did.
Okay.
So when people see my passion about Sigma, I had my fun. I still have my fun. Trust me. I know who to have my fun with, because everybody can't receive that. I just put another word, right? And but I know who I can have that fun with. But Mr. Brown taught me even before I started the process.
Right.
This is what Sigma is about. Right. And when I started really diving in depth, when we say culture for service and service for humanity, when we talk about brotherhood, I can go on and on and on and on. But I know tonight's not about Sigma. I can go on and on and on. Then you ask, why did you choose to be in leadership, state director?
Right.
I wasn't looking for it, right? But I knew we had more opportunities in Georgia to build on. We are the second largest state in this fraternity. Okay. We are the largest state in the largest region. And as I told the executive board on our May 1st meeting, we need to start moving like it, right? So when I initially started, I was director of Sigma Beta clubs. That's a appointed position. And I'll get off of this in a minute. Yeah. And, I saw some inner workings. I was able to see the inner working. So
Right.
we need more. We need to do some more. There's more that we can do. And I try to. I see myself as a visionary and things that we can do and capitalize on. So it just started moving in that manner, from director of Sigma Beta clubs to first vice to state director. And it's been good, but it ain't been peaches and cream. But it's been good.
Right. But no leadership position is.
None.
Right. And you're not really affecting change if you don't get a sting here or there.
You better.
You know what I mean?
Or something's wrong, right?
Yeah, or something's wrong.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this though. So during this, and we're talking about leadership.
Sure.
So I'm gonna ask you this.
Sure.
So what is in this role as a leader, right? What is one key thing you've learned about yourself?
It's not always necessary to address it.
Okay.
It is not always necessary to address it. And I'm going to call his name because he spoke to me and he don't even know it, but he did. Donald Wortham. He said to me, Brother Irby, it's not that you're saying anything wrong. It's just the fact that it's coming from you. So people receive from you how they feel about you. Yeah. He said if anybody else was to say it, they wouldn't have a problem with it. But the fact that it's coming from you, that's the problem. So what I've learned, Tina, is it is not always necessary to address. What Irby's going to do is put his work on the table.
Right. That was a good lesson to learn.
Absolutely.
That's something that you can carry into the other leadership positions that you have that we're going to discuss.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you one more question and we'll get off this topic. What is one achievement that you are most proud of as being the Georgia State Director?
So we had the talk about the Georgia Sigma tag, and we found ways that we can get the money and but it still was a process to get the processes in place, the functionalities, the system, and all those things. And that was one of the main goals for me when I came in. So we've agreed and approved for the monies to be allocated to this fund. Now we got to get the tags on the roads, right? Okay. So I love to see our Georgia Sigma tags that have come to life and are now on the Georgia highways. So if there's any brothers that's listening to me and you've not gotten your tag, go out and order your tag. So that's one of those pride things, right? Yeah. That brothers have been talking about for years here in Georgia. So to be the state director, to actually have it hit the highways, it was really, really good to see. Sarge helped design the tag. Sarge was the state director who got the vote passed to allocate the funds and the processes, but to be in the seat to see it come to fruition and to see the tags on the road, because we still had some background work that we had to do, some glitches we had to work out, but to see the tags on the road and to see the brothers with pride when they have their tags, that's one. And another one, this is going to be an interesting one. I said I want to bring the whole state together. And when I brought up a brotherhood tailgate to the exec board, they was like, I was there. Tailgate. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And we did it. And it was really nice to see a vision come to life and to see those who may not have been on board get on board, and everybody pushed to make that a reality. That brotherhood tailgate was, and I hate the pandemic happened because we're heading to it again. But if the Lord says the same, when we hit Valdosta, October 1, we'll have our second installation of a brotherhood tailgate. Yeah,
it was fun. I was there.
Rain and all. It was good.
Yeah. I just thought about this question, and this would be the last one of this.
No worries.
But your mantra for your term as state director is in the name of brotherhood. Can you explain to the listeners why is that mantra so important to you?
So, it's been joked upon a little bit and some people tried to hijack it. But the whole thing is for the love of brotherhood in the name of brotherhood, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But what you'll see is in the name of brotherhood.
Yeah.
My whole goal with that was, if it's not about the brotherhood, I'm not discussing it.
Okay.
If it affects the brotherhood, we'll address it. But if it's anything outside the scope of what the brotherhood and progressing the brotherhood along, we're not even going to concern ourselves with it, right? So it's for the love of brotherhood.
Okay.
That's why you'll pay your dues. That's why you'll come to meetings. That's why you'll participate in service project in the name of brotherhood. For the love of brotherhood in the name of brotherhood. You know,
yeah.
Brotherhood is the foundation of this organization. And oftentimes I just put something in our group. These things constitute the true test of a Phi Beta Sigma man. Brotherhood is number one.
Right.
It's for the love of brotherhood in the name of brother. Anything you see Irby do, it's going to be for the love of brotherhood in the name of brotherhood. And I'm glad to see the brothers who are catching it. They're catching it.
Yeah. Right. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Is move as God shows you and tells you to move. And those that get it. And those that don't.
Right.
All right. Now, so, but I'm glad we did get on this topic, because now I understand. This goes back to what we talked about before the show.
Yeah.
That you now stand on the shoulders of Charles Brown.
Yeah.
Right. And that you're walking in his shoes. You're walking it out. You took the torch and you walked it out. Mm-hmm. That's another reason why I like talking to the seasoned members of the brotherhood, mm-hmm. because those conversations that Charles Brown gave you is the what I get when I sit in their presence, you know, and that's why we shared this story. This is why I have the love, the brotherhood. The
brotherhood.
Have shared those stories with me, and how the brotherhood have embraced me as their sister.
Right.
You know, and so that's why I'm so crazy about this. Anyway.
It is what it is. We all have our journey, right? We all have our different journeys of what brought us to where we are, and what that love is. It is what it is. So, and I don't think you should excuse what that is. So one of my best friends, you've met Tavia. Tavia's a lady from Alabama. She didn't come through the undergrad chapter, but she was our girl even before then. And if Tavia's on, I'm about to put it out there. It is what it is. Tavia says she pledged Zeta because of the brotherhood of Sigma. Because we treated her in that manner. So I hear what you're saying. And I told you that yesterday when I was talking to you, I said, you remind me of Tavia's story. And we hold her in high esteem. So I understand that. And it's all good. Don't.
You know what? And the other thing is that, you know, the show is titled The Inside Perspective, because it gives people the platform to discuss who they are, what they do, give the inside perspective of what they know. And everybody that is, we're just going to talk about Greekdom. Everybody that is Greek, they have their own perspective of 100%. The different organizations, their own journey, their own perspective of what it means to them. And it doesn't mean that your perspective, if it's not my perspective, is wrong. I have to embrace you, male or female, because that is your perspective, right? And I have to love you as you are. And then that goes back to what me and you were talking about communication styles and how to be able to reach people because their perspectives are different.
Yeah, you know, and I've been known to be abrasive. I call it direct. And in 2021, we need to stop skirting around people and be direct with people. People don't have the fortitude or the maturity to handle directness. You would rather me go around you and talk around you instead of being direct. So I always get the bill, Tina. Irby always has something to say. Absolutely, if it's important. And when I don't have anything to say, Brother Irby, everything all right? We ain't talking. Now, if I had something to say, it would be so you can't win for losing sometimes.
Right.
And I'm here to win.
Well, I think that as long as this
It's always
It's,
good
it's right.
and genuine.
You can't go wrong. And I told my daughter this, and we're gonna move on. I told my daughter this. I said, in life, always figure out what is the right thing for you. You
That's good.
find what the right thing is. You do that, regardless if it's popular to people, and you will never go wrong because you did the right thing.
That's it.
Right.
I can go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
People, we'll go on and on. We'll go on and on.
Okay. So let's talk about let's talk about directness. We're gonna get on that. Okay. So you worked with at-risk youth for over 20 years in various roles. So let's talk about that. And I'm sure that's the part of the social work piece that came from your degree. But let's talk about that.
So let's talk about it. If society had its way, Mom, if you watch, and I love you, and you know, I told you I always talk about this because it's our story. Mom had my older sister at 13, right?
Okay.
And had me a year and a week later at 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Folks think they know, but they don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
So if society had its way, Tina, I was at risk. I should have been a statistic. Yeah. A single mom, a black male, young mother, governmental assistant. I should have been a statistic. So my heart is, and it's almost cliche, if I can make it, you can make it. That's true. But I don't tell kids that because you got to want to.
Right.
You hear me? You got to want to get up out of whatever it is that you're in. So when I handle kids with kid gloves, and from Alabama to Georgia, it's different. In Alabama, you're considered an adult at 18. In Georgia, you're considered an adult at 17 years of age, right? So absolutely, ma'am. That's the law. They're trying to get the law changed, but at 17, you get arrested, you go into jail. You're not coming to one of our facilities.
Oh, wow.
That's law. So when working with kids, I got a job 11 days after graduating college. You hear me? Because one of my adjunct professors, and it was almost a joke, anything I can do for y'all, I was taking my final exam in social work. Anything I can do for you, just let me know. And I raised my hand. I said, I need a job, you know, because all I knew is working. And I hate I missed the mark and go directly back to grad school. But all I knew, my mom don't have any money. I got to get this while I can, right? And he told me to come down to his office, Children's Services at the Mental Health Center in Calhoun County. And I started 11 days working in children's service, working with kids on psychotropic medications. That turned into something else because when I went to those schools and went to those homes, my heart broke for them, right? We've been in some situations. My mom used to always say, we don't have enough, but we got love, right? Nobody's better than you, and you are better than nobody else. So when people see me, what they call my head up or being arrogant or cocky, what they're saying is confidence. That my mom said, don't you hold your head down for anybody. I don't care what we have. And if you were to see all 7 of us, you'll see the same thing. That's what she instilled in us. So I go to these homes and I see these kids and I work with these kids. And it was only that Mr. Irby came that some of these kids will calm down.
Wow. Even
at the school, even in the homes, parents was calling me. Here I am, 21, 22, 23 years old. But I had a heart for those kids. Now, here's the balance of that, Tina. You're going to do what your mama say.
Right.
But I care for you.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I mean business, but I do care for you as well. Even when I came to Georgia as a probation officer, right? My mom didn't want me to take the job. That's going to be a dangerous job. I had to learn Atlanta. Right. As a probation officer. I didn't know anything about Atlanta. I came here for this, right? And in some of the dangerous neighborhoods, I had a big green expedition, but they knew my heart was there. Right. I'm not going to play with you, but I'm going to do everything I can to help you. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's been my heart. And when I lost my last kid in 2011 to gunfire, I lost 4 kids as a probation officer. I went to every last one of their funerals. I spoke at every last one of their funerals because the impact that I had with them and their parents, the parents said, you have to say something. And let me tell you how good God is, because he placed a church full of kids there, right?
Wow.
I had a captured audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He is gone. So I'm not talking to him. I'm
Right.
talking to y'all.
Right.
This has to stop. But that last one, it got me. It tore me up. So I had to find something else to do, which led me into my current role and thus far now. So I was an at-risk youth.
Right.
Society said I was an at-risk youth. Y'all see these clothes and stuff. You don't understand
Story.
the story behind this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put a picture out every so often of me sitting on my mom's front porch, and I had my dog, but I also had my history books next to me too.
Mm.
And when we grew up pretty hard, but I was determined. I was determined. This ain't my end story. Guess what? I'm still at 46 years old. I'm still writing the story.
Right.
Ain't no period yet. I'm just turning the page, and I'm leading. I got to speak tomorrow at Booker T. Washington High School to the summer graduates, and that's my title. Turn the page.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know what the at-risk youth that you were mentoring, you were probably the male figure, male voice or male figure in their life.
And here I am navigating that. And I had some strong male figures in mind, but navigating that when my biological dad, died at 4, right? So I'm navigating that from what coaches did from
Right.
Mr. Brown did for me in the community, and I'm watching him move. I'm watching those dads who were married to their wives and had a family. I'm watching how they moved and how they navigated their families. And I'm watching how God has watched over. And I'm watching a strong mom who didn't play the radio. You hear me? She had us young, but she didn't play the radio. Okay? She didn't play. Did I say that she didn't play the radio?
She played the radio.
The radio. So when I go home and see how she interact with my nieces and nephews, I'm like, you not gonna say nothing? Mom's answer is always this: I've raised my children.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
She didn't play the radio. So respecting of elders and things of that nature, respecting women, those things. So when I hear the term at risk, and we use that term loosely oftentimes too, right? But I'm talking about true at risk where mom used to tell us all the time, people used to also, you having all these kids, your kids ain't gonna be nothing. That's life. That's true. That's fact.
Yes.
I'll get off of that because that moves me a little bit right there.
So currently you work for the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice.
Yes.
You are you're currently in the Office of Professional Development. So let's discuss some of your duties and in that position.
Right. So when I had my last kid that died, they found him. I started saying this is becoming too much. So I was doing some trainings in Alabama at my other jobs, right? And I was pretty good at it, and people were liking coming to my training. So a training position became available, and I applied, and I was able to get it. Funny story is I was down south, Thomasville, Albany, Columbus. That was my area as a regional coordinator, right? Then we had some changes in the Office of Professional Development, and I was able to come up. They actually put everybody around where. So, Irby, you decide where you want to go, and then we'll put the other people where, that's doing good work and taking the brunt up. Because I lived in Jonesboro, having to be down there all week long and then drive back on Fridays and go back down on Sundays to do the work. But I did the work. I put my work in. So they moved me up, and then I started coordinating. So all of the probation officers that came out of Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice came from my program where I coordinated, right? I coordinated the probation officers course for 2 years, 2.5 years or so. And then in 2016, I applied for the manager's position, and I didn't get it the first time I applied. Now, people would think, and if you were asked, it was almost like people was thinking it was automatic that I would get it. Let's be honest. I felt it was too. I felt I put in the work, but I didn't get it, right? So the person that actually got the job didn't stay 6 months.
Wow.
So the director at the time came back and asked, am I going to apply? I said, I'll let you know. I'm not sure right now. I'm serious. I wasn't feeling it. I thought I should have had it the first time. I'm
Yeah.
just being raw.
Being honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you know. He kept coming back, so I did. It was almost like, here you go, right?
Right,
We should have gave it to you the first time.
right.
So, but it's been good. So now I manage the northern region of Georgia. So we go as far up as Dalton, as far over as Rome, down to Clayton County, Jonesboro, Hampton area. I manage all of that area for training. I have 9 instructors or trainers under me, 2 who directly report to me, and the others report to them. So we have to implement all of the trainings per our policies, per the state law, per post standards, peace officer standards and training council standards. We have to implement that. I just submitted my whole calendar because I have to break out the calendar and write out the calendar of trainings we'll have for the whole year. So we go from January to June, and from July to December. So we're preparing for a whole nother calendar of trainings, and that's tedious, making sure the dates are right. So it's been tense, Phil, because I just hired 3 new people on my team.
Wow.
So these last few weeks have been, but I'm built for it tough. This is the assignment that I took up, and that's where I am. So training program manager in the Office of Professional Development, actually the senior training program manager. And I just recently, which is a big feat, received my master training instructor certification. So I'm one of 4 in the whole agency to have that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I train trainers to become trainers.
Trainers, right,
Yeah,
right. And I'm sure that in this particular leadership role, your leadership style is totally different than what it is in the previous role that we talked about as you being state director. So let's talk a little bit about what type of leadership style that you've had to use with being a trainer or being a leader over the trainers.
Right. So the thing with this is a state agency, right? I've been with the state. It'll be 14 years in October. Again, coming from probation officer up to this. And what I've seen is different leaderships, being under different leaders in the agency. What I know is that people only work for you on how you treat them, right? You have to treat people in certain way. So that democratic kind of style, I'm going to put my vision out. This is what policy says, first of all.
Right.
And I always say, yes, policy have gray areas because policies doesn't dictate when your child gets sick.
Right.
Policy doesn't dictate when you get sick. Policy doesn't dictate when you have an issue, an emergency at home. Policy doesn't dictate your love for your family. I can understand that because I'm the only one in my family that lives in Georgia. Right. So when my family call and there's an issue, they know Uncle Mont, Brother Mont, your son will be there.
Right.
That's who I am. So when my staff have those concerns, I look at that. Right now, they also understand. And it's funny that we're having this conversation today. In the last 2 weeks, I've had to have 3 hard conversations with my team members. Right. Because I tell them I'm not a micromanager, but there's an expectation that the work is going to be done.
Right.
Right. And if it comes to me that the work is not done, all it's doing is for y'all is opening up a whole can of something else.
Right.
Because if this one piece is not done, something else. I'm looking at everything. Right. And then I'm looking at my direct reports because your staff didn't do what was needed to be done.
Right.
I'm not getting on them. Because they report to you,
right? You
report to me,
right?
And I said to a couple, I don't write people up, and I don't like to fire people either. But if it ever gets to that point, they see a different person. And hear me when I say this, Tina, as a leader, you can treat them nice 363 days out of the year, and you have one bad experience with them. That's all that they remember. Yeah. And they'll tell other people, well, that's who you are. Right. Because you had to have that hard conversation with them.
But they won't tell them what they did.
They won't tell them what they did. They won't tell, well, Mr. Irby, we don't see him much.
Right.
I don't have to tell you that I'm coming over to your facility.
Right.
You should already be ready and prepared for that, right? Things should be in place. And I'm a visionary. That's even in Sigma and in DJJ. You know, there's things I always tell my people, there's a standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
You exceed that.
Right. Right.
If I put that on myself too,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to exceed that. I'm going to give you all the resources that you need. Just do the work. Right. If ever I find out that the work's not being done, and that kind of happened these last few weeks, mm-hmm. right? And they've seen a different Irby. Okay. I'm always going to be professional. I like to have a good time. They know I care about them. They know when they get sick, I'm not hammering them about mm-hmm. their time. Go take care of yourself because you're no good for me if you can't do the work. So, but I know how one situation can dictate the feelings forever. And then I think, Tina, you got me on a soapbox now. Then I think if it took that one time, were you being genuine all along?
Yep.
I'll put a pin right there.
Yeah. Because a lot of times people operate off the whiffle, and there's nothing else but the whiffle.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's what's in it for me.
Me. Absolutely.
Right? And
Absolutely.
then if something happens outside of the whiffle, mm-hmm. Then everything else is negative.
I'll go back to this, Tina. It's 2021, and we're still scared to be direct with people. Okay, what you're gonna get me black and white. Right. You may get some color added to it, some animation added to it, but I'm gonna come to you direct. Don't come to me and say that somebody said A, B, C, E, F, G. All right. Well, we're gonna address that. All right, and I'll bring you to the table.
Right.
Okay? But then again, that learning, I said this word to you, that maturing.
Yeah.
I started managing at 26 years old. My first time running a program. Okay.
So you started managing when your mama left you at home.
We'll go back that. But getting paid. Well, I can even go back to McDonald's. I'm a real live Calvin, right? Yeah. I became a crew chief in high school. So leadership has always been one of those things. And I've always had this thing where people look at me because I'm going to say what it is that I need to say. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Right. I'm just direct. Right. And people sometimes can't take that. I remember when I became state director for the first time, and it was told to me, Brother Irby, it's going to be hard for you. I said, what does that mean? Just your style, the way you handle business, it's going to be hard for you. And I said, I'm here for the fight. Well, I'm here for the fight of brotherhood.
Well, let me ask you a quick question though, because I'm gonna ask you this because I think this is appropriate. I'm not gonna put my opinion on. I'm gonna ask you the question. So, can you be an effective leader and not have good conflict management skills?
Can you be? Say that again to me.
So can you be an effective leader? Do you think you can you truly be an effective leader if you do not have, if you shy away from conflict? Let's say it that way.
No. Absolutely not.
Because when you were stating that people like to skirt around, I think it's because we were talking about the DISC and all of that, and the different assessments and the stuff that you were talking about.
Yes.
Some people I call it have poor conflict management skills, but they just do not. And this is not a particular person or a situation. It's just how they are. And then we just talked about it before. People are a product of their environment.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think that just from hearing you and the different leadership settings that you have been in, you have to be able to deal with conflict management. I think that it's so important, because if you don't, things get worse.
You said it.
It gets worse. It snowballs and then it just explodes.
That's the result of it.
Yeah, that's the result.
That's the result. So You're absolute. So the answer to your question is no. You have to, if you allow conflict to manifest and stir. I liken it to a disease, so to speak, right? Or and I hate, because cancer is a nasty and people have been affected by it.
Yeah.
But if you got to get cancer out from the root,
right?
You got to pull all the cells out of it, right?
Yeah.
If not, it's going to come back and it's going to spread. Yeah. If you're not able to address conflict, now I'm not saying addressing it is going to stop it, but it's going to be addressed. So we've started somewhere. I'm addressing this and I'm letting you know how it is, what you're doing and what it's causing. I'm putting you on notice of what that is. Right. We can do this in private.
Right.
It doesn't have to be we can do it in private.
Right.
But if you shy away from it, it's still going to be there.
That's true.
And listen what I'm about to say to you. Whether you do good or not, it's still going to be on you.
Yeah.
As the leader. Leaders expose themselves when we put ourselves out for ridicule, criticism. It's easy to criticize from the back.
Right.
It's easy to criticize from the sideline. Some people are meant for the sidelines. They want leadership roles, but they don't want the title.
Right.
They don't want the responsibility. Let me say that. They want the leadership role. They don't want the responsibilities of it. You have to be built differently to be in a leadership role. To deal with folk, you have to be built differently. And I'm telling you, life has taught me lessons. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated State Directorship has taught me you don't have to address that, Irby. Right. It's not even necessary because they're going to believe what they want to believe anyway. And can I be real and raw with you? Mm-hmm. Who are they anyway?
Yeah.
That's who are they? There are certain people who are set for certain positions, right? The pot stirrers, the people who are going to have your back come hell or high water, the people who are on the fence, they with you while it's good. When it's not good, I'm going to get on back over here because I don't want nobody to think I'm with, you know. So as a leader, you have to be 10 toes down in what you believe in, your belief system, your values. Those came to me from Demopolis, Alabama, from a mother who didn't play the radio. Beliefs and that, and I can't tell people what their belief systems and value systems are. We'll have to go into cultural diversity then, and that's a whole different topic, right? That's a whole different topic. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't grow up with a 2-parent home, but I grew up with some real hard beliefs and values.
Right.
And that's what you get from me. And what you've seen is a matured Irby.
Right.
What you knew is gone.
Yeah. I totally believe.
Can I say this before you finish? I said this to you earlier. Back in the day, you could get it.
Yeah.
Today,
you can have it.
Remember I said that earlier? Back in the day, you could get. Now you still can get it now. You still can get it now. But back in the day, you could really get it. But today,
you can
have it.
Yeah, you said that's a form of maturity.
If that makes you feel good, you got it. But I'm gonna put my work on the table.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because when you're aspiring to be a leader, your character, morals, and values is what defines you as a person.
I hear you.
And what I have seen is in different leadership situations, a lot of that is going to be tested. Right. So how have you, well, it is, and I think that the higher you go up a leadership ladder or a corporate ladder, your character, morals, and values are tested. So my question is, how have you been able as a leader to stay true to who you are?
Tina, I'm telling you, I keep going back to, I've matured so much. Not that I was immature. I've matured in areas that I needed to mature in.
Okay.
Because I would give too much, what's my word? I'm going to use this word. I'll give too much respect to mess.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I gave too much credence to mess from people who are messy.
Right.
That's who you're known. And I always want to address them. But what I've done is I've sat back and I've allowed them to do their thing. the text messages, the fake pages and sending messages, all that's over a voluntary position that we're supposed to love as brothers, right? But
Yeah.
I tell you, they don't even know some of the brothers. And I'm not gonna call their names, then brother. Well, you ain't talking about me. But there are certain brothers that don't know how much they keep me grounded, because we're sounding boards for each other.
Right.
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 We can talk about things, but I know they have a good heart. I know they have my best interests at heart. There's brothers in Georgia, and there's brothers I've met along the way. Right.
Right.
You prayed earlier, and you said you're asking God to enlarge my territory. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was a prayer that you prayed for me, and I appreciate that. But to be able to sit and see the territory being enlarged, right? And brothers sending me messages of hope and thank you, and I appreciate you. That's what keeps me grounded, because the naysayers are few in numbers, right? But the brothers that I'm able to impact just by being a brother, for the love of brotherhood, in the name of brotherhood, the messages, the calls, that's what keeps me grounded in this leadership role. Because otherwise, I'd have been the fault by now.
Right.
People take this and then, but I've matured. And I appreciate those good brothers. I got some good brothers brothers will send me messages on a call like, chill. Something happened a year or so ago. I got about immediate, Tina, 15 messages. Do not respond. Do not respond. Do not respond. Brother Irby, do not respond. Brother Irby, do not respond. Brother Irby, do not respond. Do not respond. Guess what, Tina?
You didn't respond. No.
And I appreciate that.
And those messages, it was confirmation that others was feeling the same way you were feeling, so you weren't by yourself.
And then I had a higher up national office is, what you having a conflict with somebody that's not on the same level with you?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about this though. So whether it's in Sigma, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's anything, you're going to have, everybody is not going to get, I'm not going to say on the boat, I'm going to say in the boat. Okay. Everybody's not going to get in the boat.
I hear you.
So how do you as a leader get them to, how do you handle those type of people in any situation, not just Sigma, but anytime you're in a leadership role and you have naysayers and you have people that won't get in the boat? The boat, if everybody gets in the boat, is for the cause of the good of whatever your goal is.
Right.
So how do you as a leader, what is the proper way to handle those people that won't get in the boat?
So my question to you, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question with a question, but it's rhetorical.
Okay.
Is that the goal, or is the goal to move forward the vision that has been set in place? All right. The vision that you set in place, that's what's going to get people to follow. Right. You're not going to have 100% participation at all. My mindset is, we should have everybody on board. It used to be the mindset, but I had to tell myself, just do the work, right? Put the vision out there, make it plain so that brothers can understand, people can understand, workplace can understand. Because a lot of times, what are you doing? What is that going to do? Keep the vision. Keep focused on what you've been set here to do. I'm a big proponent of everything happens for a reason. I'm a big proponent. Life or death, it happens for a reason. Tragedies, I'm big on Jeremiah 29:11. I am, there's an expected end, and I put things out, and at work, in Sigma, I'll run it by people just in talking to see what they thought. Ooh, that's good, And a lot of people don't understand because we don't do it. We've never done it before. So why are we doing that? But why are we remaining stagnant as well? Again, that's again in work and in Sigma. So I'm not expecting everybody to get on the boat. Even when I say I love this brotherhood, I do. God, family, Phi Beta Sigma.
And if you operate out of that order, it equals chaos.
God, family, Phi Beta Sigma.
Now, wait a minute. A question just came in.
Right,
Hold on.
let me finish my thought because I don't want my thought
Okay,
to
go
go
ahead.
away.
Go ahead. I'm going to find the question. Go ahead.
Gotcha. And if everybody get in the boat, somebody got a screw or a saw and they're trying to put a hole in the boat. I don't want everybody on the boat.
So the question is from Felicia. She said, but if those people are hindering the vision, how do you deal with that?
You don't allow anybody to hinder the vision. Those people can't hinder the vision. If we feel that those people are hindering the vision, we're putting too much attention on those folk. And we're not putting the attention, and we're not putting the attention on the folks who's ready to roll with you.
Okay.
That's what I've learned. I want the rowers. Right.
So when you have that situation, you focus your vision on the rowers.
Absolutely.
Right?
I told my regional coordinators, we were talking about a difficult staff, and I've been saying this for years in my management roles. We're going to make it so uncomfortable for them that they're going to want to leave. I'm not telling people can't leave Sigma. People can leave my job, though. you can leave the team, right? Those people who are not supporting you, they're not going to support you anyway, right? So when we talk about the hindering, I'm not worried about the hindrances. I'm worried about the people who are ready to do the work, who are ready to say, Brother Irby, I got your back 100%. Yeah, I'm also there for the people to tell me, Irby, that was wrong now.
Right.
I'm going to call a name right quick. Right. Carl Hall, my chief of staff, he keeps me together.
You know, when we were talking about your leadership style as far as on your job, having an expectation, you have empathy with your staff.
Yes.
Then you set an expectation for them. I had the same conversation a year ago with Carl Hall, and he gave me the exact same answer. That's why I was smiling. Yeah, that same answer.
I couldn't have chosen a better person to be my right hand man, and I awarded Carl this past year my R.O. Sutton Award, because here's a man that just out of the blue weekly. I don't even expect. I just know it's coming at one time. Brother State Director, you good? Is there anything you need? When something big happens, Brother Irby, you know how Dr. Hall. Now, people, he gonna give you that professional, but I love the real and raw. You know, never disrespect. But anything I try to put in place, he's gonna give me the good, the bad. But he said, "Sir, I'm here with you. To make this work." So I have to have people on my side like that, and I keep people in my circle. I have put people on the board that didn't like me knowingly.
Well,
I knew this.
They search you.
I knew this.
Yeah, they
I knew this before I put them on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I knew this. But that's Sigma. That's what it is, you know. But I always say I'm doing it for the love of this brotherhood in the name of brotherhood. So, and that's even on my job. You know, I've been tried and tested by higher ups. Mm-hmm. I stand firm on who I am.
Right.
You know, I stand 10 toes down with who I am. And in leadership, I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You put yourself out for exposure. You put yourself out for ridicule, and you have to be built different for that. I'm not going to run away from it, you know. Right. But thank God for maturing.
Yeah.
Thank God for keeping me in a sound mind. Thank God for giving me the ability to process. Because other folks, I said this to you earlier, Tina, people good to point out what's going on with you, and they're afraid to put that mirror up to their face.
Yeah. So what do you think we're going to wrap it up, but what do you think is the significance of being a multifaceted leader?
When you talk about, I teach a class called Command Present. So it's the leader, the led, the situation in communication.
Right.
Those are those four components there. So situations is very important of being a multifaceted leader, because situations are different and you have to handle situations differently, right? You can't be one way and think that all situations your way is going to fit all situations. That's not going to happen at all.
Right?
There are certain circumstances where empathy has to be your number one go-to, because a person may be hurting, okay? And you can't be authoritarian with that person. You have to be with kid gloves with that person. There are situations where in leadership role, you have to step back some, right? And allow the situation to to unflourish itself.
Right.
You don't always, again, here it is. You don't always have to address things, right? Let things manifest and fall out themselves, right? And let people see. Let other folks see what's going on. And you just let it happen. But if you're going to be in the role, okay, there are certain things that you have to address. There's a certain way that you have to express yourself. There's a certain communication style. I understand that I can be brash. When you ask me about that, I said, Tina, you realize I'm really shy. I don't like to be out here in public like that.
Yeah.
It gives people opportunity to do whatever. Now I can talk all day long.
Right. Yeah.
These kind of situations, you know, it's kind of like, here we go again, you know. But in my mind, I'm at the point now, good, bad, or indifferent, people are not going to like you. Right. Good, bad, or indifferent, people are not going to always support you. Good, bad, and indifferent, you're going to always be wrong or the wrong person for some people. That's leadership. Okay. Right. That's what leaders do. We stand 10 toes down in all of that. That's that multifaceted. You got to be able to take those bullets. Right. You got to be able to take those knives in the back too. But you got to stay focused on the vision.
Right. And you have to be able to adapt your style to the situation and the environment that you
almost like a chameleon
being a leader.
Yeah. Almost like a chameleon. You got whatever the situation is, whatever it looks like, you have to be able to step in that. And you have to be able to step in that with authority. Right. And I'm not talking about being authoritative, but with authority. It's called command presence, right?
Command presence.
Command presence. How you look, how you communicate, your ethics. That's right and wrong. That's all it is. You know, command presence means everything. So the mere fact of you standing tall with your shoulders up, people may think that that's arrogant.
Right.
Why can't that be confident?
Right.
Why can't we be confident sometimes instead of arrogant?
Well, and it goes back to what we said before the show, is that some people only go into situations with their own perspective. And some people only want to have their own perspective.
Yes.
They don't want to take the time out to get to understand other people, so that they can not really change their perspectives, but have another perspective, because that's how you, let me say this, that's how you get get another perspective about a person, place, or thing, right? Is you have to gather more intel. You have to gather more information.
Yes.
Right?
I hear you.
With limited information, you're going to have a limited perspective.
Come on.
With a lot of information, you can have a better perspective, right?
Or understanding.
A better understanding.
Yes.
Correct, right? So you owe it to yourself. I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna give you the last word, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
If somebody comes to me and say, do you like cucumbers? And I say, this may sound crazy, but this is what came to my mind. So do you like cucumbers? And I say, no, I hate cucumbers. And the person says, have you ever tried
a cucumbers? Yeah.
And I'll say, no, I never tried cucumbers. They say, well, why don't you try cucumbers? Okay. So if I'm in the state of mind where I'm willing to open up my perspective about cucumbers, I'm going to try the cucumber. Now, because I took the step to try the cucumber and get out of my comfort zone, then now guess what? I may like cucumbers.
Yes.
But I would have never known I like cucumbers. I would have had a narrow perspective about cucumbers if I never took the step out and try the cucumbers.
Yes.
Right? So you can stay with a narrow perspective, or you can get more intel to broaden your perspective. But that is the significance of a multifaceted leader, right?
That's good stuff.
You have to be able to get out of your perspective, have empathy for others, be able to pivot your leadership style in different environments and situations, so that you can reach the end goal and you can affect positive change.
You didn't preach just then. You didn't do a little small sermonette just then.
It was flowing. You found
that was good. That was good. That was absolutely good.
Cucumbers. We're going to remember that between me and you, cucumbers.
So what I heard from that is how you know you don't like it if you ain't tried it.
And we miss out on so much of life. We miss out on so much of life. You know, I'm going to say this, and I really am. I'm going to give you the last word. I know we're over the time. You know, before my mother passed, I did not like live flowers.
Wow.
And the reason why I didn't like live flowers is because they died. And because I had a limited view on the purpose or the beauty of live flowers, I missed out on smelling the roses. So when my mom always loved plants. She always loved. So there was so many flowers at her funeral. And at her funeral, I said, you know what? To remember my mom and to carry her with me from her death on, I'm going to always smell the flowers. I'm going to always smell the flowers. And because I came out of that negative mindset, my own perspective, I can appreciate what she loved all along was the beauty of the living thing,
That's
which
good.
was the live flowers. So this weekend, I was running errands. I came home, and guess what was on my doorstep?
You had some flowers.
Somebody sent me 6 white roses, and I was in tears because I remember what I could not, because of my narrow perspective, I could not appreciate the living thing and the beauty of it. So, you know, in leadership, you cannot have a narrow mindset. It's not going to work. You're never going to get to your goal. And if you do, you're going to have hell getting there. Let me just say that.
Absolutely.
Right. So
yeah.
You got to learn how to be a multifaceted leader. And I know you to be one, right? Because I've seen you in different leadership situations and environments. And I've seen you pivot your style. You know, he's not the way I saw him over here. Yeah. And I've seen you pivot your style. And I think people need to understand that whether you're a chapter president, whether you're a state director, regional director, the president, whether you're the owner of Coca-Cola, it doesn't matter. You have to have empathy, and you have to understand that there's situations where you have to adapt to them, right? Yeah. Because at the end, it's all about the goal and the people, because you're not going to do it yourself.
You're in my head. Absolutely. You're in my head right now.
So I want to give you the last one. I want you to give advice for aspiring leaders, the viewers that are aspiring to be leaders. Can you leave us with some advice?
Sure. And you spoke on a couple of things. The first thing is stay focused, right? Stay focused. My scriptures, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. You got to stay focused because it's bigger than the leader. It is. It's way bigger. Say
it again.
It's bigger than the leader. Okay. Stay focused on the vision and don't concern yourself with the naysayers, because you're going to always have naysayers. Okay. You will always have that. Stay focused. I can't say that enough. Stay focused. Okay. Put the vision out and stay focused on the vision. Right. It is way bigger than the position. It's way bigger than the title. In what you need, what you're looking for. Let me take that back. What you're looking for is to be respected and not liked.
Not liked.
Because you can like me right now, click off this thing and say, I don't like him anymore. Right?
Right.
Respect goes on.
That's
and people listen here. And this sounds crazy. People respect you so that they don't even want to talk to you. That's respect. Y'all better look at it like that way. Okay. Respect is not always it's not a bowing down. Respect is I'm not going to take mess to him. I'm not going to take mess to her. Respect is I understand that ain't my cup of tea. Right. But I respect it. Right. And you don't have to like me. I tell my staff, I want us to have a good time. Right. But it's about this work that we got to get done. Stay focused. And I said it earlier and it just came up, and I'll be saying this. So back in the day, you could have got it. But today,
you can have it.
You can have that. Don't get yourself caught up in a situation where
Yeah.
you will regret and you will embarrass your family name.
That's right. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And everybody's not built for it.
No.
Everybody's not built for it, and everybody needs to go. I learn every day. You've taught me today. I wrote something. I learn every single day. Once you stop learning, you stop growing.
Yeah.
Right? And so the words for today, and I'll be done. Stay focused.
Okay.
And mature.
Stay focused and mature.
And mature.
Yeah.
And maturity is not about age.
No, it's not.
You got to shift your thinking.
Because it starts here.
I'm done. Shift your thinking.
Shift your thinking.
Shift your thinking.
Irby, thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Yes. You know, we allowed the viewers in on what happens every time we see each other. This right here is no.
We can go on and on and on. Right.
I was supposed to drop something off to you, and I think we were in that parking lot for 2 hours.
I'll tell you 2 hours until I finally said, let me go home. My wife got to cook.
You did.
2 hours.
Everybody, I hope that you were inspired, were educated, were enlightened from today's show. You know, we were talking about the significance of a multifaceted leader. Leadership is not easy, but it has great reward, right? And you have to understand that when you take a leadership position, it's not about you and it's bigger than you, right? It's about the people that you're supposed to affect through the goal that's at the end, right? And it's not about you. So I hope people enjoyed the show. You stay on. Okay. I am Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Good night, everybody. Wow.